Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Wednesday, September 7th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So in today's video, we'll be taking a look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. Talking about my core picks for today's slate is a 6-game main slate overall, so a little bit smaller slate, maybe one that you want to spend a little bit less money on today overall. And then talking about my top GPP stacks. At the time of this recording, my article is not yet published over at WeBetATS.com, but once that is available, I'll leave a link to it down in the comments below. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. At the pitcher position, we went with Kyle Wright at $10,600. Unfortunately, got to 0 points, which is oddly enough an odd score for a pitcher to end up on. So he was a miss. He had very good history in his previous start versus Oakland this year. Just ended up giving 8 runs yesterday. Not a very good play overall. Then at third base, you could also play him in the outfield, was Christopher Morel at $2,200. Got to 13 points, so he was a good value play there and a hit overall. Then at shortstop, we had Bo Bichette at $3,500. Got to 43.8 points. He's been very, very hot as of late, so he was a hit in the top overall shortstop on yesterday's slate. I believe he was the third overall hitter as well. Then in the outfield, we had Ronald Acuna Jr. He was $4,000, got to 15.4 points, so he was a hit as well. Then in our other spot, we had Lourdes Gurriel at $2,600. He got to 6 points, so he was a push. So yesterday was a little bit of a hit or miss day. If we had a decent pitcher here with the rest of the core picks, probably ended up doing pretty well. So if you got off Kyle Wright and you played somebody else. But pitching overall wasn't quite the best yesterday. There was 3 guys over 40 points, and then Brandon Woodruff coming in around 37 points as well. So kind of a bad day for pitching altogether. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to the core picks for today. So we're going to start off at the pitcher position with Jordan Montgomery. He is $9,500, averaging about 29 fantasy points per game on the season. He's been pitching very, very well ever since he's been traded over to the Cardinals. Goes against the Washington Nationals today, one of the least potent lineups in all of baseball at this point in time. He has very limited history versus them in the past, so should be a favorable matchup for him as well. Then we move down to first base with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's $4,100, averaging just over 11 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Baltimore Orioles. It's Dean Kramer pitching today. He's 4 for 9 with 3 home runs versus him in his career, so some pretty good upside there today. Dean Kramer did have a decent start versus Toronto earlier this year, but all his other starts had not been very well, so it should be a favorable matchup for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. once again. Then we move down to the outfield with his teammate Lourdes Gurriel. Obviously, we did end up playing him yesterday. He's still $2,600, averaging about 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Also going against the Baltimore Orioles and Dean Kramer today. He is 3 for 6 with 2 home runs versus him in his career, so some pretty good upside there as well. Then our second outfielder today is going to be Tyler O'Neill at $3,600, averaging over 10 fantasy points per game on the season. Corey Abbott will be the starting pitcher for the Washington Nationals today. Tyler O'Neill is 2 for 2 versus him with 2 home runs in his career, so it doesn't get much better than that. Definitely a ton of upside there today. And then last but not least, we've thrown him down in the utility spot today. It's going to be Adley Rutschman of the Baltimore Orioles. He's going against the Toronto Blue Jays today. It's going to be Alek Manoah pitching. He's $2,800. He's been on a very, very good hot streak as of late, and he's 2 for 7 with 1 home run versus Alek Manoah in his young career. So it could be some pretty good upside there at a reasonable price tag at $2,800. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $12,400 remaining, $3,100 per player. You could potentially pay up for another pay-up option if that's something you really want to do on today's slate, or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's definitely fine as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my top stacks for today. As I already mentioned, my article is not yet published at the time of this recording over at WeBetATS.com, but as soon as that is available, I'll leave a link to it down in the comments below. So in terms of the top stacks that I do have for today, Toronto Blue Jays are going to be a big one. Obviously, 2 of them are in my core picks, and they have pretty good history overall versus Dean Kramer. Although he did have the one better start versus them earlier this season, the times before that, he's really struggled against this Toronto team, and they're one of the more potent offenses overall on today's slate. Then we have the San Diego Padres going against Tommy Henry, the rookie pitcher. They have no history versus him in the past, but you could definitely take your shots on some of these Padres hitters once again today. Then we have the Cardinals going against Corey Abbott of the Washington Nationals. Very limited history there, but definitely not afraid to stack some of these Cardinals once again today. Pretty good lineup overall, as always. And then last but not least, we have the Houston Astros, another strong lineup, going against Cole Ragans of the Texas Rangers. They hit him pretty well in his previous start versus them. He's coming off the IL, so should be a pretty favorable matchup for them once again as well. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, September 7th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on today's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks, whether it's someone from my top GPP stacks, or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS, primarily MLB DFS at this point in time. But we are starting week 1 of the NFL season, so I'll have some NFL DFS content coming out this week as well. And then once we get back around to NBA regular season, I will be covering that as well. And then with that being said, if you're a new or current subscriber yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. Going to have some NFL DFS videos coming out later this week as well. So definitely be sure to check that out if that's something you're into as well. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.